The May 21st, 2013 meeting of the Human Services Committee will now come to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Ansello. Here. Miss Andrews. Here. Dr. Carbone. Here. Chairwoman Draw.
Here.
Mr. Gamina. Here. Miss Kaylee. Here. Mr. Lightfoot. Dr. Quattro. Here. Mrs. Valerio. Here.
Is there anyone signed up for a public forum this evening?
There is not.
Thank you. Anyone in the chambers that would like to speak, address the committee at this time? And seeing none, the next item on the agenda is the approval of minutes. You have before you the April 23rd minutes. They will stand approved unless the clerk is notified of any changes by the end of the day. And at this time, we now have a presentation from Mr. Paul Johnson, the Associate Planner of the Planning and Development Department here in Monroe County. He's going to give a brief overview of the 2013 to 2019 capital improvement program. 14, I'm sorry, did I say 13? Sorry, 14 programs that pertains to the Human Services Committee. Paul, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. All legislators should have a copy of the County Executive's recommended 6-year program, and it does come reviewed and recommended by the Monroe County Planning Board, which held one public information meeting during its review to gather public comment and input on this 6-year plan. As is the case with all our capital programs, this has no funding approvals associated with it. This is a plan for our capital investments over the next 6 years. The funding opportunity will present itself for the 2014 projects as part of the operating budget when a capital budget will be presented to the legislature for your consideration in the fall. There are 2 program areas that I want to touch on very briefly. The first would be the community hospital, which you'll find on page 16 of the report. And there's one new project, equipment informational technology, which has actually been broken out of one of the general categories, the equipment furnishings and resident care, because it can stand on its own, if you will, as a project. And accordingly, the equipment line item has been reduced in this 6-year effort. The exterior site and utility improvements program funding is up, and the interior improvements project funding is actually down from the previous program, so that overall funding for the hospital program is the same as last year's 6-year program. And the second program area would be on page 20. This is the Health Department Medical Examiner. This is a new program area for our capital improvement program. And there are 2 projects proposed here. One is toxicology lab equipment to replace critical equipment at the medical examiner's office that is reaching the end of its useful life and needs replacement. And the other project is a cage area improvements, which will provide a protected outdoor area for the department's emergency response trailer. And that, Madam Chair, is a very brief summary. We'd be happy to answer questions when you get to this item on your agenda.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is a new business. Madam Clerk.
Referral 13-148, Young Citizens.
Moved by Legislator Quattro and seconded by Legislator Carbone. Is there any discussion on this? I see President Adair, would you like to speak to our committee tonight?
Yes, I would. Thank you. It's always a pleasure every year to come before this committee to announce the Young Citizen of the Year and the Willie W. Lightfoot Youth Advocate of the Year recommendations. And I just wanted to let the committee know that this year we had 58 young citizens were nominated. We had 17 youth advocates. There was a total of 111 nominations this year, which was a very impressive number. 74 obviously we have 74 total winners this year. I wanted to tell everyone here too that thanks to last year and to this to the Human Services Committee, this referral was written in compliance with that amendment we did last year. So thank you for that. The event's going to be held, the awards assembly will be at Thursday on June 13th at the Monroe Community Hospital. And I know that this is always a very popular event with all the legislators and reminder, it starts at 6:30.
Thank you.
How'd I do?
Thank you, Mr. President. Is there any discussion on this? Legislator Lightfoot.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Just wanted to stand in support again of this program. I actually visited my father's grave today, and I believe he was smiling and felt very at peace. So again, this is a great program. It's something great that you do in honor of my dad, who truly deserves it, and I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Legislator Lightfoot. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 13-153.
Moved by Legislator Carbone and seconded by Legislator Gamina. Is there any discussion on this? Legislator Andrews.
Madam Chair, through you, just on page 17 regarding the hospital, just to confirm, the amount that the equipment furnishing resident care line has decreased, the corresponding amount has increased on the equipment information technology line. Is that correct?
Through the chair, the total is slightly higher than the adopted program, but it is a reduction in the equipment line item in order to fund the technology line item.
Thank you. And through the chair, do you anticipate continuing to break out that IT section in future CIPs?
Through the chair, yes. I would expect that in next year's program we'd see a 2015 to 2020 line item for that.
Thank you. I have one other question also in another area. In the health department, why this year, through the chair, did you decide to break out that section?
Through the chair, it's my understanding, and we have Dr. Benno from the medical examiner's office here for further detail, but typically, up to this point, funding for those equipment replacements has been secured through grants, which have now dried up. So there's no other place to go but to the county financing for those needed equipment pieces.
Thank you. Through the chair then, is it described in here a listing, or is there a listing of specifically what equipment's going to be placed, or if not, could I request one, please?
Through the chair, yes, we do have that, and we'd be happy to provide it.
Thank you. And through the chair, then, the timeline that's projected here out, because as I understand grants, I think you would probably receive them not as far out as 6 years, but does the timing that's projected here meet the needs of replacing all the equipment as it reaches the end of its useful life?
Through the chair, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other discussion on this? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Next item.
Referral 13-168.
Moved by Legislator Gamina and second by Legislator Ansello. Is there any discussion on this? Legislator Andrews?
Thank you, Madam Chair. To you, through you, what is the number of high-risk students that have been identified?
Through the chair, the number varies between about 400 to 500 students a year.
Thank you. And through the chair, and then how are they identified? Is it just their country of origin? Through the chair?
Through the chair, mainly through their country of origin in terms of them coming from high-risk endemic areas.
Thank you. And through the chair, is this the first year that we've received this grant?
Through the chair, that is correct.
Thank you. And through the chair, then, how much revenue do you anticipate will be generated?
Through the chair, we estimate about $20,000 per year.
Thank you. And through the chair, where would that revenue go?
Through the chair, that revenue would go to offset, some of our additional maybe costs in terms of providing this outreach service.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Any other discussion on this? Legislator Valerio.
Madam Chair, I just have a question regarding, say a student hasn't been identified, but do they have the physical when they arrive here or before? And how communicable is the disease if it's not active?
Through the chair, many of these students, they come and they have physical examinations as well as assessments prior to coming into this country. However, part of what we do in the health department is to review those medical records and to provide, like maybe on-site triage which leads to screening and other testing.
So, through the chair, they do not necessarily have to have a physical when they arrive?
Through the chair, they do not have to have a physical.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Legislator Kaley.
Chair, through you to the administration, do we offer this type of, do we have another contract with any other institutes of higher education in the area for a program of this type?
Through the chair, we do not, and I will add that this particular situation at RIT is unique because of the number of students who are high risk that go there. That's probably also maybe the case with the University of Rochester, but being the University of Rochester, they have their own medical center, so they have some of their capacity that's not, present at RIT.
All right, thank you. And through the chair, would you also be looking at, even though they've already been here for a few years, or would you target, due to origin, students that have been here for, let's say, 2 or 3 years that have come through a refugee program from a country at risk, or would you not?
Through the chair, through individuals who come here as refugees or as immigrants, we automatically see those individuals in our clinic, and oftentimes we see them usually within weeks of their arrival.
Yes, I understand that, but through the chair, the school would be sending you the students, am I right? Sending you the names of the students that you would?
Through the chair, we would collaborate with the school, but we go to the school on site and work in a location, that's they have coordinated for us.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, I'm sorry, Legislator Ansello. Through the chair.
Through the chair, on average, we see about 1 active TB case, I guess maybe from RRT, and we have about 50 latent tuberculosis cases, per year. And for those who are latent TB, generally they're not communicable, but they may later develop active disease. And so identifying them as a latent infection, that allows us to provide them with treatment, which will actually cure the disease so they don't develop active disease later on.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 13-169.
Moved by Legislator Ansello and seconded by Legislator Valerio. Is there any discussion on this? Legislator Lightfoot?
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. To you, Madam Chair, to the administration, why has the funding been decreased?
Through the chair, this represents an administrative allocation for the cooling component of the heat season. Cooling, air conditioning.
Cooling, gotcha. Okay, thank you. All right, thank you.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Is there any unfinished business to come before this committee? Seeing none. There being no further business, the May 21st, 2013 meeting of Human Services, it will now be adjourned, and the next meeting is scheduled for June 25th, 2013 at 6 p.m. Thank you.